New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
Joel McHale was too smug.
I don't really care for him.
He's fine.
It's too smug. I can't do the smugness.
The show is good despite the smugness.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's great.
Maybe.
We're rewatching it on Hulu. That should be the biggest endorsement ever.
What?
That we have Hulu.
Just for that?
I hate Hulu. I am, philosophically, I hate Hulu.
I do too. I don't even know why I have it. I think I have it for... Shit, I don't even know what show.
It's such garbage.
Not for Seinfeld. Oh, the OC. I have Hulu for the OC.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we're done here. I think this is
No.
the final episode.
It's very entertaining. Plus, all the characters, they're very attractive. How can you argue with that? Are you, you chewing on a peanut butter nugget? Once again,
can't
where
hear
did that
you.
even come from?
I brought them in my pockets.
Yeah. We have some mic issues here, so our booms are crossing now because we have to use the spare one we've mounted very awkwardly.
This is not a metaphor.
No, not at all. Anyways.
Does that mean this is live?
Yeah. It's always live. This is your life.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello.
What is my... You're supposed to say my name. We had a deal.
That's okay.
All right.
It's okay. I'll
Anyways.
pass.
This is Chris. That was Kevin. Kevin, my God, you sounded terrible. Welcome to New for 96. Oh, again, off the charts. Was not expecting that. How does one adjust levels?
Just like the ratings.
Yep. Yeah. How was your week?
It was good.
Yeah.
I just got back from Pebble Beach and all of that.
Yeah. I think you had a probably really great week as a result of.
Yeah.
I was very jealous. I saw all the posts, not just from you, but from basically the entire internet, social mediaing from Car Week, and I've always wanted to go. Haven't ever had a chance.
Well,
If you go to Car Week, I don't actually. I can't comprehend the organization of Car Week. Is it just nothing but things that you are invited to, or can you just be a spectator?
that's a very good question. Well, so I figured it out. This was my 7th Car Week in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And in the first year, my friend Ryan, he lived in Monterey at the time. He worked at Laguna Seca, and I lived in New York at the time. And he was like, just come out. And I was like, of all the events I want to come out to, I want to come out to see Monterey Historics, which is what I call it. They call it the Rolex Motorsport Reunion. I call it Monterey Historics because I think that's what it used to be called. But it is the vintage races at Laguna Seca on the weekend.
Yeah.
So a bit of history about the entire weekend.
Is it now WeatherTech?
No. We're not
ready for that yet.
Acknowledge the WeatherTech billionaire, but it started in I think the 50s as the Concours d'Elegance, and people would race their cars on the track at Laguna Seca, and they would drive back and forth between the two, and then they became events, and they kind of became kind of separate. But I prefer being Laguna Seca over the Concours, but there's plenty of time in the week you can do both,
sure.
which is great. So in 2008, I went down. I flew from New York, went to I got comped tickets at Laguna Seca because of my friend. I paid for a ticket at Pebble Beach, and it was neat and it was cool. And there was supercars around town and stuff.
I mean,
and now it's totally different. It's so much more.
Yeah.
There's so much more. Just the stuff you see driving around.
I can't imagine, especially even just a few years ago, we get to see some really rare and interesting cars just by way of, I think access is easier now. No, I mean, just even going to the Peterson or something where you can see some cars that you would never have otherwise seen in real life.
Yeah, but Car Week is like that, but they're driving around.
Right, yeah. It's live, it's real.
For a reasonable price, you can go to the vintage races and watch them and drive around town for no cost. And so it's cool. So I've been in the past, I have gone on my own ticket before. I have gone, I've gone working as a photographer for automakers before. And
But-
this year was
Yeah.
a little different. I was a guest of Mazda. And,
Yeah. But let me ask you this: doesn't it seem though that like just in general, like cars that were very rare, just poster cars, basically. I don't know, like before 2015, when was the first or last time you saw an XJ220
yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I saw my first XJ220 in 2015.
at the Peterson?
Yes.
Yeah, and I sat in one in Houston, and then I saw one at the Peterson, and I've seen like I don't know how many 959s, etc. And for some reason, maybe this is just relative to the time period in which you exist in, but rare cars that I guess we deem to be very interesting, seem to be much more accessible as far as just like viewing.
I think people are
goes.
bringing them out. People are driving them.
and
People are
not
people
just
are-
and not just like at this one event or just even just a handful of events that like you would have to travel out to. But I don't know why that is exactly. I couldn't pinpoint it right now.
I mean, I think people are just driving them more. I think now that anyone can buy a Lamborghini if you're just rich, then it's like, how do you differentiate? It's like, well, having an SU220 makes you different and not
Yeah.
necessarily more expensive than a Aventador.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what I like to say,
but
I always find interesting is that if you had a Lamborghini in the 90s, you
Yeah.
were an interesting man.
Yeah.
If you have a Lamborghini now, you're a wealthy man.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you
But-
had to jump through hoops in the 90s to get one, and now you're just rich.
and I think we're escalating it even further too, because if you see a Countach nowadays, it's really cool, but I think it's even cooler if you have like an early model with like no
No.
side view mirrors.
Oh, yeah, an early Countach, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say like an Espada or something.
No,
like
no, no,
that.
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
a
Those are cool
Countach,
too, but
yeah.
like no, I mean like those now like the rarer
The
cars.
Periscopo.
Yeah.
Like that one that was at Driver Source, and there was that other one I saw
Yeah.
at the Gooding auction that was
Yeah.
the Periscopo.
We're
which was cool.
escalating. We're just one-upping. Well, they're
Yeah.
having to one-up each
No,
other.
totally.
We can just as like
As
mere mortals.
passers-by, we can
Yeah.
judge them.
Exactly that. So,
Yeah.
anyways, but continue about Car Week.
Well, I'll tell you a highlight. So, briefly, we went to San Francisco. We drove the Mazda 6 down to Monterey. And they said, take your own route, go down. We recommend Skyline Drive, go wherever. And we stopped at Canepa.
Canepa?
I think it's pronounced Canepa based on everyone I've talked to.
Canepa?
And it's
Shall we be pedantic about it?
please, let's. So it's a pretty crazy place because they have this showroom.
I have always wanted to go to.
They have a showroom with like 40 insanely valuable cars,
Yeah.
like a 964 Turbo S Bow,
Yeah.
which is like a lightweight turbo.
Yeah.
And they have just all the weird, like the best of the best is just
Yeah.
in this showroom, like real Shelby Cobras.
Yeah.
Many things.
Almost want to make a trip out to the Bay Area, not necessarily just for that, but like in large part to just go see the collection.
Yeah, well, that's the showroom, but they have a museum upstairs, which is like race cars, like
Yeah.
two 917s and this crazy Group 5
Yeah.
Lancia Monte Carlo.
Isn't that cool? I mean, they work on them there.
Yeah, and then there's the shop. So there's the third part, which is the shop, which
Yeah.
is which it was all open to us
Yeah.
because they were doing an event that day. So in the shop, there was 8 959s
Wow.
in the premises.
That's insane.
It was pretty crazy.
That's
'cause they're
insane.
doing-
Although, did they look like normal 959s or were they the SCs?
They looked like normal ones. I mean, they looked like worked over normal ones.
Yeah.
They were kind of like there was an orange one that I don't think was an original
Yeah.
color, stuff like
'Cause
that.
Canepa,
Yes.
or cannoli as Kevin was
Yeah.
trying to pronounce it as, they're producing their own version of the 959.
Yes, to use the beaten to horse beaten to death analogy. They want to be the singer of 959s.
Yeah, which is it's such an insane concept. Like that, you already have what is perfection, frozen, like in period at least. And personally, I think I'm not necessarily on board with it. I mean, it's an interesting idea, and they have the means to do it, and people at Liftical, they had several orders just based on the one they had there. So people are interested, but it seems odd to me. It'd be like these are works of art.
It's not for me.
Yeah. So whereas singers like 964s, there are literally a million of them, and as is exemplified by that graveyard of them.
Oh yeah.
That was on social media or wherever it was, showing like singers basically just bare bones chassis waiting to be converted into $500,000 cars. But yeah, 959s are so rare. Like just to convert one, I don't know. It's fine. If that's what you're into. I'm probably not ever going to have a 959, so I don't have a say in it.
Don't sell yourself short.
Well,
Once you get a garage, the sky's the limit.
Sky is the limit. So, yeah.
So, Canepa was super cool. Drove into Monterey. Immediately went to a private showing of the new Stratos at a house. And then like a Zonda and Huayra pulled up because this just happens in Monterey.
Yeah. Of course.
And
I have to say, so you sent photos of like bits of the Stratus, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is if you remember I think it was 2009. There was a black Stratos concept that surfaced, and it was based on the Ferrari 430.
Yeah.
And this is that. They've gotten funding. It's a new company, I believe, and it is that. It has a like delightfully old school dash layout with gauges and everything. It's based on the 430 chassis still. It's shortened significantly. It's very short.
Is this a hot take? I find that to be so much more interesting than any of the Pagani's you just mentioned.
The Zonda is interesting. The Huayra is not.
Yeah. I think the Stratus is far more interesting.
No. I have a funny opinion about the Pagani.
Okay.
In that, I remember when the Zonda first launched in like 2000, they had the C12S and the C12 and all this stuff, and I thought it was just a few details, like a little bit of styling, a little bit of funding away from greatness.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Oh, it's so close. It's so close to being amazing. Once they get a little more money, once they get a little more established, and then they came out with the Huayra, and it's like they obviously had much more money.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I see. It was a taste barrier was the issue. I think once Horacio Pagani had those resources, I think that what was holding them back was not necessarily experience or money or those things. I think it was just kind of a taste thing. I think the Huayra looks pretty revolting.
I think it's very terrible looking.
Yeah, but the Zonda looks really good. But the Zonda looks like it's so close to being like a perfect refined supercar. It's just not quite.
It's kind of like too much.
I mean, it's too much. Yeah, but I mean, just like things like the shape of the wheels and stuff like that. It's like I know they're very expensive. I know it's milled out of a giant solid piece of titanium. Or whatever.
It's like
it's just not.
You don't have to.
Good.
Do that.
Yeah.
In my it's just an exercise at this point in excess. Like it's just like, oh, well, what about everything? So,
well, and I think the Bugatti is doing excess better.
I think so too. Yeah, completely.
Based on what I've seen. But no, I have a cool anecdote is when I was in San Francisco, first day I was there, I kind of walked around, walked over to like Alamo Square and saw this guy happen to be polishing up a Lotus Esprit,
nice.
Which is a pretty unusual sight in any city. It was a Series 2 Lotus Esprit. It was black and gold. It was not a JPS.
Yeah.
But I talked to the guy. I said, love your car. I gave a extremely brief introduction to myself, but we, obviously I knew about his car and we chatted and everything. He was a super nice guy. And he's like, yeah, I'm bringing it down to Monterey for the week. I was like, oh, that's cool. I hope to see it there.
Yeah.
And I went on, sent pictures to the group and stuff. But I actually saw it it was displayed at Concorso Italiano.
Oh, wow, nice.
Which is so there's many major events.
Right.
We'll get back to these. There's a bunch of events in Monterey that happen in Car Week, but
Yeah.
the main one is Pebble Beach Concours, Monterey Historics at the racetrack,
Yeah.
and then you've got all these other events. There's the Quail, which is a motorsports gathering
Yeah.
of race cars and stuff. You've got Concorso
Legends of the
Italiano,
Autobahn.
Legends of the Autobahn. I went to Legends 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This was my first time going to Concorso Italiano, and it felt to me like, and this is very offensive, the guys that show up at a car show and they have a red Ferrari shirt and a red Ferrari hat,
Yep.
and it says Ferrari,
Yep.
and they have a 308 GTB.
Yep.
This car show seems like it was made by them
Yeah.
for them.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
completely.
It was. I expected it to be a little more prestigious. There was not really any
Was it because
interesting Ferraris
there were just Legends of the Autobahn?
No, I'm talking about Concorso Italiano.
Oh, okay.
It's just like there's a bunch of 430s and 599s and stuff. There was one 288 GTO, which
Yeah.
is cool, and then the non-Ferrari cars were really cool. There
Yeah.
was I love seeing Maserati Boras.
Sure.
I love seeing Iso Grifos.
Yeah.
And some Lancias and stuff. The Ferraris were pretty boring. The Lamborghinis were doubly boring.
Yeah.
I love seeing Diablos and Countachs.
I think that is probably my limit, or like the max year, like Diablos,
Yeah.
where like my interest
I actually put this
exists.
in the notes.
Oh
Like
my
it's
God.
like how with music, I think I try to stay current and everything, but it's like I feel like when people get older, they just like this is when I stopped caring.
Yeah.
This is when I stopped
Well-
caring about the new music, and I feel like
Can I say, like, do you think it's that, because the Diablo isn't necessarily relatable, but it's more relatable than like a modern day
Diablo's still
Lamborghini.
interesting. The modern
Yeah.
ones are not interesting.
They're
at
not
all.
interesting. Maybe it's because it's that
because they
same.
make so many of them.
There's
you just have to
that.
be rich to buy one.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that it's maybe that Pagani like notion of like too much.
Yeah. I think we'll see. Like maybe in a short amount of time, maybe the Murcielago. There was glimpses, there was hints
Yeah.
where the Murcielago might become interesting just because we're far enough removed.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. I currently don't find it interesting, but
I don't either, but if I saw a Murcielago, I was like, ooh, I like that it's not an Aventador, or it's not a Gallardo. But no,
however,
the
I
Diablo-
will double back on like the Huracan Performante. I do like those.
why?
Because it's cool.
I love the mulched carbon fiber. It's extremely cool.
Yeah.
There were 6,000 Huracans in the Monterey Peninsula,
I'm sure.
and all of them were Performantes. I don't know how.
Heaven. No, but yeah, and so I mean, like back to it, like when your car interest in a car wanes, like I mean, for you, is it the same thing? Like, is it that like it just becomes too much, or the dream? Is it that the dream becomes too complicated?
Yeah, I think it's just not relatable.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't explain why I found the Aventador to be so utterly boring. And then they had the Aventador SJW that they debuted,
Maybe
which
it's-
I find also extremely boring. It looks exactly the same as the other Aventadors.
I was going to say, like, it's all like, I mean, we've talked about this before,
Also,
but
I am a Lamborghini Nürburgring time truther.
oh, well,
I do
because
not
you do
buy
not.
there. I do not
The
buy.
Performante
Do not
did it.
subscribe to the lap
It
times.
was amazing, a perfect car.
Oh yes.
I
It
don't.
has this little air that vents this tiny amount of air to this tiny wing, and that's why
that's
it has
what-
more downforce
That's
than a
what it did.
918.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
Mm-hmm.
That said, too, that I would rather have a 918 than a Performante, but I think the Performante is an interesting exercise. I think it.
I mean, I'm also jaded because they had so many special editions of Gallardos,
Yeah.
and there was stuff called the Performante, and it never meant anything.
Let's be honest.
None of it meant anything.
Like,
they used that word, and it didn't.
Ferrari
really mean
is
anything.
more interesting than Lamborghini, and that's a stretch too. Because like, what was the last Ferrari that you found to be like truly relatable or interesting? And that's kind of a relative statement too.
I mean, I
Or
don't know about
question.
relatable, but the 458 Speciale
Yeah.
seemed amazing.
For me, probably it stopped at the 360.
The Scuderia,
Yeah.
yeah. The 430 scooter. No, the 430 was the Scuderia. 360 was the Challenge Stradale.
Yeah,
I
Challenge
do know
Stradale
that.
was very cool. And like that to me was just kind of like, okay. And now everything else is just kind of like, it's fine. Like, you know.
The 430 Scuderia is the only Ferrari I have driven.
Oh, well, there you go.
very good.
So you must love it.
Yes.
So from the peanut gallery, from the stands,
Yes.
that's my take. Is for me like that was the last. That's not true. Like I find the FF to be interesting, but more of just kind of like a form exercise. Because otherwise, like it's just kind of also an exercise in excess. Like it's this big V12 Grand Cruiser that's very just big and expensive. But there's nothing other redeeming about it other than like it's just very, very different. But I would have one had I all the money in the world. FF
or 456.
Or yeah, I would love to have a 456. I love those as a kid, and I still love them now.
412.
Oh, that'd be cool too. But see,
So-
these are all pre
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, of course.
So again, we speak to like this kind of like limiter that we are like hitting in terms of like interest. We can't seem to go above it.
Right. So Concorso Italiano, it was an okay show. I liked seeing Diablos. It was neat to go. I've never been to this show.
Yeah.
I've been to many of the other things at Car Week, but hadn't made it to this. So it was fine. But the highlight was seeing, I think his name was Rob, and his Esprit on display in like a weird quasi like non-Italian section of cars. There was some Lotuses and stuff. There was 2 Spikers. Imagine entering your Spiker in an Italian car show and not
wanted to make
not winning best Spiker.
Pretty Woman joke.
Yes.
But I couldn't think of the actor's name, and I was about to say Gene Hackman.
It's
and
Richard Gere.
It's Richard Gere. I would love to see Gene Hackman and Julia Robertson.
Robertson?
What? Roberts.
Yeah.
Sorry, whatever. I don't know. You know me. I can't remember things,
We all
details,
look the same.
information. Anyways, yeah. So as I was saying, I was trying to think of another actor that'd be really well misplaced there. Like, say, who's the? All right, fine, whatever. Continue on with your stories.
I don't know. You're looking up IMDb here.
I am.
And I lost my place.
Gilbert, Gottfried, and Julia Roberts.
Yes.
Go on.
If I knew a quote from that movie, I would try to say it in Gilbert Gottfried's voice. But thankfully, we are spared.
Yeah. Gonna cough button all of that.
Oh, so when I was in San Francisco, I'm walking around, and I saw a 911 Porsche, air-cooled.
Oh my God! Really?
Yes. Well, this is like it was actually a Euro Carrera, like 70s Carrera.
Oh yeah.
And but my stupid brain, even though I'm very familiar with these cars, I think, and I know like
You thought it was a 3.2?
and I thought it was an SC with like, or no, I thought it was a mid-year maybe with like SC flares because that's pretty common.
Yeah.
But it was a real Euro Carrera, and it was driven by Art from Driving While Awesome,
Art
friend of the
Cervantes.
podcast. Yeah, friend of the show.
I don't think he's actually ever listened.
No, I don't. I pretty much guarantee that.
yeah.
But we know him through
Yeah.
my work with Radwood and stuff.
I've
so
met him a couple times.
yeah, so he was on the street there with his. He got out and he was outside of the Turo office.
What, really?
Yeah, this is in San Francisco, so all these big social media companies that may or not be good or terrible or horribly unethical are right there to enjoy. And he was meeting outside of the Turo office, meeting someone because he was going to Radwood Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
And he was getting some like inserts. So apparently Turo is all in on Radwood.
Oh, I'm sure.
So he was so they were renting a couple Radwood cars in the area in Atlanta, and he had some, like stuff printed out about the cars.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to him, and the other guy, I think his name was Steven, was with Turo. I'm not sure. I'm pretty bad with names. But I talked to the two of them, and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm the guy that brought a Viper to Radwood 1. And the guy from Turo was like, that was you? Like, we brought a Viper to Radwood at Sonoma because of that.
Yeah, and then
The
that's the
same
only
one.
story that people remember.
Yeah.
Your history was overwritten.
My history was?
Yeah.
I did it
by
first. I did it.
I don't remember that. I think Toro did it
I
first.
did it first by a year.
I don't know.
He remembered. He remembered.
Well,
Pepperidge Farm.
yep.
So yeah, it was just a funny. It was like a total weird coincidence to like
Yeah.
walk upon this on
That's
the street.
very. So wait, you didn't know that you were in front of the Toro office?
There was a sign. I'd
Okay.
seen the sign earlier.
Yeah.
I'd gone into a museum and I saw the sign before I went in.
Yeah.
I came out and I saw 9/11. Obviously, my eyes were focused on the 9/11.
Of course. And then you saw art there, and then
Yeah.
you put many things together.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is what happened.
So we had a nice little weird conversation. Art sent a picture to Brad and was like, "Look what I found."
That's funny.
Yeah.
Turo should buy Laguna Seca because I think that sounds a little bit more.
Yes, I'm sure this company that does not encourage people to take their cars on a racetrack
Nope.
would
Yep.
buy a racetrack.
Yep. To be fair, like the only people who recommended that I didn't take it on a racetrack was the Toro rentee.
Who said don't take it on
Don't
Angeles
take
Crest?
it on Angeles Crest, and then he texted me when he GPS'd my location
That
and
was
saw that
the
it was
most
Angeles Crest.
insane thing. We need to
Yeah.
have a Turo episode where
We're
we just
gonna
talk
have
about
that.
the weird
Yeah.
stuff that's happened to us.
It's great. We love Toro.
We do.
But as with any peer-to-peer thing,
Future sponsor of the show.
yeah, as with any peer-to-peer thing, when you rely on the peer to run your thing, interesting things happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyways, continue.
Is
that it?
Yeah. Is that it? I think that's most of it. I'll tell you two highlights. I guess the events were awesome. Like hospitality from Mazda was really awesome. Driving Miata around
Ooh, yeah.
Monterey for a few days was great. I had a
It's funny because you left the car. You came back to Houston, and you flew back, and then you saw the car. So you continued the trip, basically.
no, it's not the same car.
Oh, okay. Never mind. That's less romantic, and now thus less
They have a
interesting.
whole gaggle of Miatas.
Fine.
In fact,
You should have just said that it was the same car. I would not have been the wiser, and I would have thought, wow,
it was not the same car.
that's amazing.
It was not the same car.
Not amazing anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
I had a 2019 Miata RF manual, not club,
Yeah.
for a few days, and basically the situation was you bring it back to the valet and remember your number, and you can get your car back the next day or whatever. But it was like as many Miatas as you wanted. So if I wanted a different one, I could just say, "Get me a Miata."
In the same color.
Well, no, I was just saying, "Get me a Miata." But the thing is, there's limited number of manuals, so I didn't have. So I had a manual for all 4 days, and then
Yeah.
the last day, I think they lost my car or something, or they gave it away to someone else.
Yeah.
So I had to take a red one that was automatic,
Hmm.
and it was not great. I prefer.
It was just a car at that
I
point.
preferred living in a world where I didn't know what a Miata automatic 2019 felt like.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's acceptable. It's just my complaint is that you notice things that you don't like about it when you have nothing else to do.
Yeah. Because
And,
the shifter is distractingly good.
This shifter is amazing, and if there's any imperfections or flaws, it's because of your own behavior. And
exactly.
when you're in automatic, it's like, this sounds like the world's tiniest dirt bike at idle.
Yeah.
And it's just not great.
Then it
But
becomes like a truly just slow car slow.
I think the red car photographed better, so it ended up working out
there you
great.
go.
I gave friend of the show, Daniel Golson, a ride.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the white one when I still had the manual
Yeah.
car. But that was great to drive for a few
Was
days.
he eating his ice cream cone at that
No,
point?
this was before.
Okay.
This was before. That was my birthday gift to him.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I
We're
guess.
recording on his birthday or some such thereabouts.
I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Does it happen every year?
No.
I don't
no.
know. Again?
I'm a little behind. My calendar's off.
I don't
So
know.
I did see, I guess the craziest thing I saw driving around, which was nothing like spectacularly bonkers. I saw a Miura, but it was in traffic.
Ooh.
But seeing an Enzo drive on roads, actually like through a corner, moving at some speed,
That'd be really
was
cool.
pretty insane.
So-
Actually, I do have more. I do have more.
Okay.
Seeing out on Carmel Valley Road, seeing both Yellowbirds
Oh.
driving was pretty cool.
Modern roofs, not so cool. Old roofs, pretty cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this was okay. So I saw the roof, the old one. I
Yeah.
never actually saw the new one up close because I did not attend
The one
Whale.
at Loof? Oh, okay. Wait, which one are you talking about?
Both.
Okay.
The modern Yellowbird.
The one
Not-
with the panel gaps.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. It was there. I
Yeah.
didn't see it up close. I saw it on the road.
Yeah.
The old Yellowbird. So I talked to Bruce Meyer,
Okay.
who is the owner
Yeah.
of the car. He recently bought the Yellowbird. When I
Ooh.
say the Yellowbird,
The
it's because
one.
he said that they made 29 Yellowbirds.
Yeah.
And but number one is the one. And
That's
number one,
featured.
the one that was in Road and Track.
Everyone saw this one.
Yeah. So
Okay.
and he bought number one and had it restored by Roof himself.
It needed restoration.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
Or at least like some, finishing.
Interesting.
So it looks immaculate.
Okay,
now.
yeah.
But it was being driven. I talked to Bruce Meyer about it, and it was being driven on the roads and stuff.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool, and then I talked to my friend Dave Burnett, who
Hmm.
was a photographer, and it was because he was actually shooting it at that time
Oh, okay.
on those roads. That
That's
was
cool.
him. He was shooting it, so
Yeah.
that's much cooler than just spotting it. But
Sure.
I'll take what I can get.
Of course. Yeah.
The Enzo, so seeing an Enzo was cool just because I think the Enzo is such a cool futuristic spaceship, and to see it
agree.
actually operating on the roads
Yeah.
was rare because they're always in parking lots and in shows and stuff. And then the highlight for me of maybe the whole weekend was seeing that Ferrari Modulo.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask about that actually.
Yeah, you should
Because-
see my story.
I don't
I had
I see enough of you.
I know. You haven't
Um,
seen me in 3 weeks.
oh God. But of course I saw like the coverage and that thing was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even from the sidelines.
Yeah, well, it was a concept car, 1970
Yep.
Geneva Motor Show.
It's almost like a cartoon, but in a good
insane.
way.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And there was some, footage of it before it was converted to road use.
Yeah.
So it was built as a concept car. It was just purely show car
Yeah.
mock-up.
It was probably a roller of some kind.
It was a roller. It had a chassis from a 512S race car,
Okay.
which was a competitor to a 917. It was never working. It didn't have steering because it has like fared in,
Yeah.
wheels.
It was like the concept cars from like years ago where it was just literally a shell
Yeah.
and like nothing inside.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so James Glickenhaus bought it and started converting it to a working car and then
Yeah.
entered it in Pebble Beach and drove in. He drove in.
Wow.
It was so cool to be there.
What kind of engine did they put in it?
Well, it's a Ferrari 512.
Well,
So
yeah.
based on the Ferrari nomenclature from the time, which they've changed it 30 to 45 times,
Yeah.
5-liter V12. Flat
Okay,
12.
okay.
Flat 12.
Yeah.
It was from the race car.
Yeah.
So it was the engine from the race car, and it sounded amazing. It needed like a 20-point turn to
Yep.
make a sharp turn.
Yep.
It was extremely cool. And, I posted a bunch about it. And the cool thing was it's right-hand drive, but the shifter is also on the right. And someone asked me why, and I knew the answer, which is because most racing circuits, including Le Mans, are clockwise. And so it's right-hand drive for better weight distribution, but right-hand gear shift because most drivers are, used to a right-hand gear shift.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a super cool car. I've had pictures of this car in books since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was a huge Ferrari nut as a kid. So to see it like drive in was just amazing. And, you probably saw a lot of pictures of it. There was crowds around at the entire event at Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
But to see when it was pulling in, if you could see it unobstructed from
Yeah.
45, 50 feet away,
Yeah.
it just looked so cool. Because when you're standing over it, it is like this flat, expansive pancake that you're
Yeah.
standing over. But when it's, 50 feet away and you see it,
You get to see the shape.
you
of
see
the
the
car.
shape, and it's so flat and just amazing. And
Was it
so-
like in person, like concept car quality, like vintage concept car quality, or was it like finished?
I mean, it seemed pretty finished. I don't know how
Yeah.
much they did with the outer bodywork, like
Yeah.
changing that, but they obviously had to make it work
Yeah.
underneath. But it looked good. It looked, I mean, to be honest, it looked good, except it looked a little like dirty. There was like fingerprints and stuff. So I
Yeah.
don't know if they just hadn't wiped it down or if they
Yeah.
were doing work at the
I'm
last
sure a lot of
minute.
people wanted to touch it. So
This was like right when he was driving it
yeah.
in. So
I remember the 959 concept that we saw at PEC.
oh, it was a little rough.
Yeah, it was a little
This
rough.
was
Like
better
it
than that.
literally looked like construction paper put together.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was cool to see it because that was what you saw. And
And the
vintage
driver mirror
publication.
was like glued on.
yeah,
The
yeah,
group-
it was
the
it was
group-
glued onto like the plexiglass.
window, yeah.
But it's cool.
The group of B concept.
Yeah, Groupe. I don't actually know how you would pronounce that, but
I think you're closer than I was.
yeah, why not? Yeah, so that's very cool. That's a really worthwhile experience. Like,
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then one more thing was in the Mazda group, I mentioned Dave, but also there was a man named BC who was one of the other guests of Mazda. And I'm talking to him and I'm like, oh, BC. And he's like, yeah, I do crazy, tuning of cars. And I was like, I have your exhaust.
oh,
He was BC of BC Moto.
oh, wow.
And
Okay.
he was so happy to meet me as a customer and stuff. And,
Oh, wow.
And he has built, I don't know if you've seen it, he built a center drive, like, twin turbocharged Boxster track car.
No.
It's insane. It's
hadn't
really
seen it.
cool.
That's cool.
Like, there was a Matt Farah video where he drove it and said it's, like, really good. Like, it's still being developed, but it's
Yeah.
really, really cool.
That's really
He does a
cool.
lot of really cool builds.
Yeah.
He genuinely is, like, an engineering genius.
Yeah.
And he made the exhaust that's on my 911. And so we were talking about it, and he's like, do you have the silencer? He's like, for me, it's a little too quiet with that. You've ridden in my car, you know that it's not exactly quiet, but it does.
No.
It
Wait,
does,
it's supposed to be louder?
yes,
Really?
yes.
It's very loud.
It has a silencer on it,
What?
which I could take off very easily.
Honestly, if you told me that your car, like you did some sort of muffler delete, I would believe you.
That's basically what the exhaust is.
Yeah.
The exhaust is a muffler delete.
Oh my god.
It just has a huge resonator, and it's like, if I may go on about this exhaust just slightly. It says the BZ Moto pulse chamber exhaust. And what is so cool is that it is like 20 pieces of metal, like with like like this gradual welds. It looks
Yeah.
almost like a MotoGP exhaust on a bike. And it's, it is shaped nicely for a good sound. It has a resonator, so there's not much drone, and it is loud, but mine has a silencer in it, which I could remove. And now I'm thinking, like,
Where's the silencer part?
it's just in the tip. It just restricts. It's like a restrictive element.
Really?
Yeah, that just bolts in with a hex screw.
Okay.
So I can take it out. So once.
You gonna try it?
I'm gonna try it.
Okay.
Now that I have a daily driver vehicle.
Yeah, which is like the opposite of,
Yeah.
in terms of oral sensations.
Well,
Yeah.
there goes our PG-13 rating.
No, come back. Yeah, I'm curious to see like how much louder this is supposed to be.
I've heard there's a lot more like popping and crackling.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
That okay. All right.
But I mean, the person that sold it to me sold it because it was too loud with the silencer.
What does he know? Oh yeah, with the yeah. No, it's like I think it's pleasantly loud. I mean, it's loud, but not unbearable. Like there's no drone.
Yeah.
Well, there's kind of a drone, but
It's not like the drone. It's not like that. It's not like that Alpha 4C where it hits a frequency where it
was
like
different,
vibrates
yeah.
your skull. That's the
Yeah.
drone that I'm talking about.
That's
That's
like
what the resonator dials out.
yeah. Okay.
It doesn't
Yeah, that-
have. There is a loud idle and stuff, but it's not like where you hit frequencies and it like vibrates your
That
skull.
4C was just like you could. The drone was there, but you could feel like physically
But
feel.
you
the
would get to a
drone.
resonance, and it would get to the point where you would like dread the revs falling to a certain point where you'd be like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was really cool. He was a super nice guy.
Very jealous. Yeah, I mean, like, this would be. I don't personally like taking vacations because there's just a lot to do.
We're not gonna get into that.
No, I always take the only vacations I take are like car related. Well, that's not true, but like I look forward most
Yeah, we heard
to.
extensively about your Volvo S90 vacation.
We didn't because we cut that out at your insistence because you don't understand Swedish cars.
Finally, you listened to me.
I cut out like half an hour of your Prius
Ooh,
talk.
can I? That's for the best. Can I tell you about a thing that was at the Gooding auction? There was a roof BTR 993, and it was
I'm
like
unfamiliar.
yeah, me too. But it was a 993 mid 90s, like 94 twin turbo.
Okay.
It had the Carrera tail.
What?
Yeah.
Like the little T tray?
Yes. On
Okay.
a 993.
That's
It also
weird.
had kind of like two vents cut out in the front just before the hood.
Okay.
Like kind of like how they do on stuff now.
Trying to imagine this car. Yeah.
And it was this color called blood orange.
Blood?
Yeah, like blood, like in German.
Okay,
But it
yeah.
was super cool. It was like a super dark orange, like, you know, in between orange and red,
Okay.
like very almost fluorescent. It was a cool thing. It sold apparently for like $600,000
Of course.
in the auction. But it was very cool. It was like the
Was
test
there-
car.
Any rationale for like, well, one, like, was it actually a Carrera tail?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. I don't know the rationale. It was in the auction. It was
Yeah.
a genuine roof from 1994.
Okay.
But it was like, yeah, it was like the 80s Carrera tail.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I'll have
It
to look
might,
this
it
up.
might have been the turbo tail, but it was definitely a T-tray.
Yeah.
I'll post a picture
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
our
yeah.
Instagram
Yes.
at new for 96.
That was a terrible
s-
transition.
You were supposed to chime in there.
Nope.
Okay.
We'll
Well,
dub it in later.
okay. Good. Thank you.
Yeah. It sounds like it was an amazing trip.
Mm-hmm.
And next year in Monterey.
Okay.
I hope.
You could go to Monterey next month. I'm going back. I'm driving my terrible 911 there.
Oh yeah, you're going to Run Sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, if I buy that 83 SC in
Do it.
Los Angeles, how will you drive it back? Because you promised you'd drive it back.
I will.
How will you do that if you have your car in Monterey?
I'm ambidextrous.
Yep. Well, can your dad drive a stick?
No.
Is he still going up?
It's complicated.
Okay.
He might go up, but I'm not sure how I'm getting back.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think Daniel Sloan would want to drive it back?
I don't think he would fit in it.
Yeah. He's a large adult individual.
He basically chooses not to sit in cars that aren't BMWs.
Yeah.
We
Actually,
just
that's
have-
true.
No, it is.
I mean, he literally owns like 3 BMWs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's ridden in my car. Haven't had a chance to have him drive it. I don't think it would fit.
He drove my Cayman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Did he complain about the leg room?
Yeah. Constantly.
Yeah.
Whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He threatened to roll it into a ditch just to eject himself from the car.
That would save you from a lot of misery.
I know. So this week, here's a terrible thing. eBay recently, like in the last 2 days, decided to offer for like 48 hours. And after the podcast, I'm probably going to hop back on eBay, but you get 10% back on eBay bucks for every purchase. So I've been purchasing parts like crazy. And I'm up to like $250 in eBay bucks right now, because like it's literally like everything you buy you get 10% back. So I'm buying parts for the E91.
I need to buy center caps.
You should buy center caps. That will give you $1.
Okay.
But yeah, so
No, they're Porsche center caps, so it's $240 for the 4.
yeah, so you get $24 back. So yeah, but this is okay. So rewind the tape a little bit. I have in this last year had 3 cars with failing headliner, and the latest amongst them is the E91 that I just bought, and it was fine when I bought it, and then within a
You mean,
month.
like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, basically. Within the last month, the panoramic shade, which is not like a soft screen like you'll see in a lot of modern shade applications. Like they're 2 hard panels that like stack on each other and stow in the like basically over the hatch in the solid area or solid roof area. The sunshade is upholstered and it's a hard material, and it started drooping. It started bubbling, and I'm so upset because why? It's a modern car, just like all of my other modern cars, like 2009, the other 2011, and this 2011, now has drooping headliner. So I bought a replacement panel, and the replacement panel is upholstered. I know I should just get the headliner done, like replaced completely. But the problem is, I can't just do the shades. I don't think they can match the material, so I'd have to get everything done. And I am not confident that they can disassemble, like any shop. I'm just shaken by like detail work lately of shops, and I'm afraid that they cannot do this right. Like they will mess up something on the complicated mechanism that is the panoramic moonroofs, and I'm almost regretting now, like that this car comes with it. It's standard on the E91.
It's the only way you can get it, right?
It's the only way you can get it. So
And even
like,
when you were on the test drive, they said, "Oh yeah, this fails a lot."
yeah, I said that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because like the mechanics, like it's been failing since like 2004. BMW's like panoramic technology. But that aside, this is the last thing I thought was gonna fail: the headliner on the shade. So I bought a replacement shade, and this weekend Kevin and I might try to disassemble the panel roof. And
Yeah, I can't wait.
just like you have basically step one, disassemble panel roof assembly, then replace headliner, and then you're done.
Can I tell you my quick BMW panel roof anecdote?
Yeah, go on.
It might be sunroof, moonroof. I'm not sure the difference.
Car hole.
Yeah, I took a job where I had to go to Rockville, Maryland. Doesn't matter. And the lady that was like from the company that was driving us around, she had a first gen X3, and this was like when it was still a new car.
Yeah.
And we drove around, and everyone talked about how bad the ride in that car was.
Yeah.
And at one point we get out, and like her moonroof glass had shattered.
Oh yeah.
And it was like it didn't come into the cabin because the shade was there.
Oh my god.
So it was just like, oh, the glass is all shattered on the roof. That seems bad.
That was actually when I had my E90 the first time around, the sedan. I don't remember. I think I had like some weird sunroof or moonroof initiation problems. Basically, it wouldn't close, and so you had to reinitiate it, but that it wouldn't really work. Basically, it just meant that like it kept thinking that there was something in the way, and so it opened back up. And so when I was Googling fixes or just the issue, like that was a huge like thread, like
Really?
E90 moonroofs like shattering,
Oh my god.
which sounds, bad.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but moonroofs are kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
Just kidding. They've been around literally for like decades. How is this an issue like today? Who knows? But this is the life that we lead.
Yeah.
I don't even want like this panel roof anymore. I think it's really cool. Like I do like it. It's still working. But now I'm afraid to open the shade because I'm afraid the material is gonna get caught inside sandwiched inside the roof cavity, and so I can't open it up.
Delightful.
Yeah, but it was really nice when I didn't think that was gonna happen because it does open up like pretty significantly. Which, by the way, like I thought that all panel roofs basically were the same, like how they operate, etc. And our friend Steven, who because his partner works for Infinity, they got a QX30, and
Good job. I think that's the right one.
I think it is. I was stab in the dark. It has a panel roof, but it's not operable. It's just a glass roof. I guess kind of like the Land Rovers. I don't know if that's more I'm not like I couldn't tell you like what cars have fixed roofs nowadays. I think there are several, but that roof of theirs doesn't operate. It's just like there all the time. It has like a translucent shade.
It's like an aquarium for your Infinity i30.
Yeah, basically. So they had a rock chip in it recently, and it it caused a crack from basically like beginning to end. Let's just say like it was large and significant, and they had it replaced to the tune of like $6,000
in a month in the shop.
Yeah, in a month in the shop because it's so rare. It's not even on the Mercedes, like which is what the car is based off of, the GLA. This is proprietary, I think. Don't quote me. To the Infinity, so they don't even have spare parts for this thing, and like it took forever, and it's so expensive. And this is like $6,000, if we're honest, in about 2 years. Like that's probably like half, maybe a third of the price of the car.
Oh yeah.
So that's insane. So panel roofs, they're really cool, but like, wow, like that, it's such a huge liability, just like hanging over your head, literally.
Good alibi.
Yeah. Anyways, but I think the 991s.
They have a cool roof.
They have a cool roof. I don't think it's 991.2s. I don't actually recall when they introduced that big roof.
I think it was
up there.
the .1.
Was it .1 too?
Yeah.
Okay. Or
Pre-
.1 as
pre-LCI.
well. Yeah, pre-LCI. I do think that's kind of cool because you don't have a sunroof line, and it's solid. It's not like it's not glass topped, so it doesn't matter. So this has no relation to anything. But if you're gonna do something like that, like honestly, like the glass is cool, but I'd rather if you could just open it like that. So it's just a huge sunroof, and when it's closed, it doesn't look like anything.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
So, so this weekend, you and I, we're going to take apart like the entire roof of my car. Let's hope that we can put it back together. Otherwise, I'm rolling it into a ditch.
I'm not as concerned about putting it back together. But
Yeah. Well,
that'll be great.
Yep. Excellent. And also my Cayman, I have a few things that need to be done to that as well. So we might try to tackle that. Mainly that, annoyingly, the front trunk button like is broken because if you pull on it like with vigor or mild vigor, it basically breaks free. And
You mean the button like by the driver's seat?
Yeah.
Oh.
So the button's loose. I can like jiggle it around and it'll make an
How do
electrical
you
connection.
fix that?
We have to remove the sill, which requires inserting a hex that is nearly impossible, a hex tool that's nearly impossible to fit without removing the seat. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Alright.
it will be a productive weekend.
Great. Can't wait.
But for the future, I am looking at, so all that stupid eBay talk earlier, I'm about to buy some sports seats for the
Whoa.
E91.
Okay.
So, I don't know if they're like death seats because I'm always like, I think about that whenever.
Airbags?
What's that?
Airbags?
No. Well, these are the seats. So they do have airbags in them, but they're seemingly intact. So they're the sports.
They're harmless.
Yeah, they're harmless. So my E91 is not, it's not the sport package. So it comes with these kind of like flat standard seats. And I had the sport seats in the E90
So are these
sedan.
tan?
The tan. Here's the thing, it's like, it's the perfect intersection of like needs. It has to be LCI because there's like a why can't I think of the name? Whiplash. It's whiplash. It has like whiplash protection built in, and if you don't have that, like if you spec an older seat, it'll have an error code. So I have to get LCI, I have to get beige, which beige seats that are sport are really rare, and I need it to be heated because I'm going to do a heated seat retrofit. So these are this one set on eBay right now is
How much are they?
$570 plus $200 shipping. So
For the pair?
For the pair,
That's super cheap.
yeah, and
That's like 1/4 the cost of like 911 sports.
Yeah,
seats,
basically.
Which don't have any of the features you're
they're
talking about.
a little dirty. And when I say like death seats, I'm like, I think to myself, like, what if like these are the seats that like someone like perished in? That'd be terrible. So I try to think about them. They're a little like dirty. And the guy, like, of course, when I emailed him or messaged him on eBay, it's like, hey, are those like permanent
He's like,
stains?
I hosed them off. They're fine.
Yeah, he's like, could be, couldn't be. And that's literally like, because I'm also looking for a sports steering wheel which requires getting an airbag, and that's a whole nother conversation as well, which I won't get into deep detail about. But basically, obviously, BMW was a part of the Takata recall. So, but to convert it to a sport, I'd have to do suspension as well. But to convert it to a sport package, all in is probably about $2,000, which is not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna do a full sport conversion on the wagon, minus the rims. I think I'm gonna keep it a square setup instead of staggered.
Okay.
Because the true sport package does have 17s still, but they're staggered. It's a really nice offset, and it looks really good. But that's the only thing it'd be good for, is just like it would look nice. Anyways, so that's the wagon in its current state. Yeah.
And you're selling the Cayman.
Selling the Cayman. I've finally listed it. So, but I'm testing the waters. I'm just putting it on Craigslist for right now. I put it in our Tri-City area, which is to say Dallas, Austin, and Houston. So it's not quite, I mean, our Tri-City like triangle is for most
5,000 square miles.
Yeah, it's basically from most states, like it goes across 6 states. So we'll just see. I just want to see if the price that I priced it at is palatable, and we'll go from there. And in the meantime, though, I might just go ahead. Because I don't have space, and it would just be nerve-wracking to deal with, again, 4 cars. I might. There's that blue 911 SC that I don't know. I'm gonna look into a little bit further. It's not like it's the perfect color. I think like it's really good. It's so pretty.
Yeah. It is.
It's this metallic blue.
It's light blue.
Yeah, and I don't remember the specific blue name to it.
I don't know if there was
It's
one.
light metallic. They call it light metallic in the auction, but I don't know if that's the actual factory color. But it looks really good, and the guy in the auction basically is his whole presentation is about the aesthetics. And I contacted him. I was like, "Oh, hey, like, any major maintenance, service records, etc." And he was like, battery was changed, like, did some things." And I'm like, "Okay."
Imagine driving one of these for like 2 years and the only thing you did was the battery. There's people that can just drive a car how it is.
Well,
and we
you've
can't.
seen those like bat auctions where someone's like, "Yeah, all I had to do was basic oil changes, and like I had one flat tire." And that's it on like a 996 or something like that. And then like the next person is like, engine blew up.
But not just that, but I mean, I have to do like,
Like
$1,000 worth of stuff just to
on
get
your
it.
Prius.
Any of them, anything, just to get it. It's like, oh, I need to listen to audio the way I want to hear it. I want to have tires the way I want them. Like, I have to do like $2,500 of customization just on anything, just to get it dialed into how I prefer to spend my time in a car.
Yeah.
And there's people that
same
don't.
Here, same here. Like,
There's
I mean,
people
like,
that don't.
I just got this wagon, and I'm thinking like, I'm
But you've already spent money.
modifying.
You've already spent some money, and you got your sunshade, and you got your
I got
clutch
my
delay
cover
valve.
craft.
You got your
I did
clutch
do
delay
that.
valve. So
Yeah.
you're already in some money.
I
just
know,
to get
and I'm
it,
always
like,
gonna do that
just to get
anyways.
it baseline drivable.
Because no car, like if I'm honest, like no car that I want, like I will ever purchase that's perfect unless someone's modified it in that way. And I'm not like huge into like heavy modification, but there's like just dialing in the car to how you want it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and so it's always a project. Every car, no matter how like new, old, or like good condition it comes in, like I'm gonna want to dial it. Like this SC has sugar scoops, so one of the first things I'm probably gonna do is change it to H4s.
Yeah.
If it's kind of it's maybe slightly overpriced, so I have to kind of like reconcile that with the current maintenance. But I'm already in my head thinking about the things that I would want to do to this car,
And you could
aside from maintenance.
You could do the Chrome H4s for like $600, and then get
You
the
think
finish.
Chrome on these?
No. But I'm saying
Oh.
the finishing one, like the finishing things, go over anyway.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
you could do Chrome ones and then add the finishing
Yeah.
rings
Yeah.
later.
Here's my dilemma too: is that this car is priced such that if I just spent a little bit more, I'd be in 993 territory. And so I think in 993,
Okay, but if you spend, when you say a little bit more, like a $45,000 993 is not going to be good.
No, it's not. But like, I might feel invested in the car enough to carry that torch forward. So with an SC, I would be tremendously happy with an SC. In particular, like we've talked about this maybe outside of the podcast, that I prefer the looks of the SC to a 993. I think a 993 is just like it's as they say, like a perfect like intersection of classic and modernity, and so it's more livable. I'm not using it as a daily driver, but it would just be, it would fulfill like a lot of things. So if I got this SC at some point in time, I think when 997 prices go down, I'd be really tempted down the road to have the SC, and then when 997s are when they're low enough, like I'd be tempted to just get like a cheaper one, just to have a modern Porsche experience in the garage as well. But in the meantime, like but a 993 would take care of both of those things for me, I think.
Yeah.
So, but I'm into this car. I'm gonna look into it a little bit further.
Yeah.
So
I'm willing to fly to LA, drive it back, and then go back.
this
and
is
do
a
my stupid
lie,
road
because
trip.
you're gonna have your car
No. If
in
you
California.
do it soon enough, I'll go and drive it back. I've got 3 weeks before I have to go to California.
Oh my god, that's true. The auction is only for this week, so
Let's make it happen. I'll do it.
Shit. I need to figure out. I'm prepared. Like if I have the Cayman as well to deal with, then I'll just rent a third garage, put the SC in there, and this is my life. I've done this. This is the house of cards I've built. Yeah.
Do you want to look at some literature?
Oh, I didn't bring anything, so you go.
Oh, well. I have with me a brand new Aston Martin Vantage brochure
Whoa.
that I got from the dealership.
Who did you swindle to get one of these?
The manager.
Oh, excellent.
It's cool. I love the way this car looks.
Okay.
You don't?
Can I remark? I don't like some of the details. Many of the details.
Really? Like what?
Like
How the grill goes all the way to the floor.
Yes.
I love that.
And the roof.
The roof?
No, the roof I like. Okay, hang on. Can I just say something? From a graphic design standpoint,
Yes.
this is a very pedestrian, and it's very pedestrian in terms of production values. It's like saddle stitch, which for non-graphic design people, it's stapled. It's like folded paper and stapled. It's like a neighborhood newsletter.
It's much nicer than a neighborhood newsletter.
Go on, Kevin.
Would you perfect bind something that's this few pages?
You could, because it's an Aston Martin.
I love the taillights.
Yeah.
I love their use of Optima.
Yeah, they do use I don't know if I like that for Aston Martin, but okay.
It's their logo.
If there were a place where Gotham would be lovely. I know Gotham's overused.
Gotham is the most overused.
But I think it'd work well here.
No. Find something more interesting.
Okay.
I wouldn't use Optima for the body copy, but I like it for the headlines.
Yeah.
I love the green. I love the
I don't know if this
highlighter
is clear, but we're talking about typefaces.
It's plenty clear.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a nice evolution.
I love it so much better than the last one.
The last one grows on me maybe because it's just very accessible.
The last one just seemed like a worse DB9.
Yeah.
Because it was.
It's just like they're so not expensive nowadays.
But it looked terrible.
I would buy
hated
one, but
the V8 Vantage. I did not like the way it looked. I love the way this car looks.
This is a lot more aggressive.
It's more aggressive because it's like they diverged the DB11. They diverged the DB11 from the V8 Vantage, where it's like, this is the sporty one, this is the luxury one. Whereas the last one, it was just kind of like a muddled line, where it's like you have the DB9 and then the shittier DB9.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I thought it was unoffensive, which is what like a British car should be.
But this is more. They have a crazy CEO who does crazy
That's the whole
things.
point. This is more
like
of
putting wolf
this
on
has,
the back cover.
This has
Isn't that
personality.
Cool?
That's
Isn't
not,
that cool?
That's not discreet. Why is there a wolf?
It's a wolf on the car on the back cover. I love it.
What does that mean? It's like a bad dream.
Leave your imagination.
Ugh, I don't know if I care.
Beautiful. I love this car.
Yeah, it's very pretty. It's very pretty. I won't say. I think it's such a different animal from the previous car.
Yeah, it's better.
That I think the previous car has a place, and this car is different. It's a different car.
I like that it's like a mini, like it's a miniature Vulcan for the road.
It is actually. That's what I was about to say. Like it's aggressive. Like it's like a pedestrian Vulcan.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is cool, but then it becomes like so hard edged in a way. That's why.
Okay, there's enough soft, quasi-luxury, sporty BS in the segment. Like every Maserati
has to look
and
like
the F-Type,
a Ford
like
Fusion,
this,
a nice
no,
Ford Fusion coupe.
This is like this would never be mistaken for an F-Type. Like this is something of a different level, and they had to take it up to that.
You know what though? Like, what was it though about previous generation Aston Martins where, like, they were really discreet and subtle.
The DB9 was.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. But why did they seem so special though? It was just proportions.
Yeah.
And
I never thought the V8 Vantage was special. Please continue.
I don't think it's. I mean, like, special is a relative term. Okay, it's the Gilby of.
I mean, it's not
Aston
that bad.
Martins.
It was just not as good as the DB9. The DB9 did it perfectly.
It was the accessible one. It was the one that maybe that's where the fault lies, but it was the people's Aston Martin. But it was so unoffensive. Like every line made sense. Like it just was.
But it just looked so truncated. The DB9 was just perfect.
It was also kind of like a semi-part spin special.
Yeah.
But I think that car has its place. I don't think it's a car that matters in the company's history by any means.
I mean, it does in the way that a Gallardo does, where it's like
right.
the volume. Look at this number one seller car.
But 20 years from now, we're probably going to look at this car a little bit more favorably, the one in the brochure, than the previous generation. Maybe. But the thing is, I do like the Vulcan is so cool. I think it's what an idea that car is. But trickling that back down to the consumer car. I mean, I guess they made one consumer grade. They're all consumer cars, but they made one.
They did make one
road
going
legal,
Vulcan.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just don't look at Aston Martin as whenever they go aggressive. To me, that steps out of my perception of Aston Martin.
No, I think it's perfect. And I think the Vulcan proved their chops at that kind of thing, and then when everyone else is doing this soft, sporty, whatever, the Vulcan is this the Vulcan is truly a halo car.
It's an introduction. It's a new introduction, or it's a new chapter of heritage for them. Because I don't know, so I'm thinking of Aston Martin of yore.
They have a history of race cars.
I know, but they have not. That's not been their identity, though.
It was in the 50s.
Yeah, in the 50s. It's fine. I think it's a beautiful car. It'll grow on me.
I'm just saying.
Sure.
Aston Martin's unnatural on racetracks, and Lamborghini has made one race car in their history of the company.
I don't like Lamborghinis.
I know. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. This is why the Nürburgring time does not make any sense.
Yeah. Performante's good.
Yes.
No. Oh my god. And on that note, we're going on the 4-hour mark. So, I think that's a podcast. Thanks for listening.
Sure.
Hey.
Just to close out, I think you should check out our Instagram at New496, and if you have any emails to send at spelled out New496.
69.
Yep. Either one of those. We'll get them or not.
Nope.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Bye.